The main ingredient of your narrative are the people. My name's Susanne Reber, and I have been working as an investigative editor and a reporter pretty well my whole career, working at CBC, National Public Radio in the US, and the Center for Investigative Reporting in the United States. But let's just say all along the way, I've always been focused on why do we tell stories? You know, we tell stories because we're communicating with people. And obviously with investigations, it's often a hidden story, something that people don't know about. So I think the role of the storytelling is even more important. In the context of investigative reporting, I would say primarily you have to get out of the way. You know, as a reporter, I'd say the primary thing is listening, not talking. Because the whole point is to hear the story, but then often we get in the way because we're essentially interrogating them versus talking to them or having a conversation. So I even start before we get in any kind of recording environment. I don't use the word interview. In fact, interview scares people. So even in your sort of conversations with people ahead of time on the phone or in an email, it's like, just want to sit down, have a conversation. Let's talk, I need your help. I need to understand. So it's a very open-ended way to get people to hopefully open up. So as much as you're trying to prepare people for that, it's about the environment, it's getting people comfortable. You have to let it actually come out. Because if you start with that inciting incident or that thing that traumatizes that person or whatever it is, it's probably going to shut them down and you aren't going to get any of the humanity of that moment because you haven't really let that person be a human being before you start talking about the worst day of their life, And I know that reporters are often talking to people about some pretty tricky stuff. So, of course, they're worried. If I don't really get there quickly, I won't get it. It's like, no, actually, it's the opposite. And I would argue, even with your accountability interview, you would probably be better off letting that person be whatever it is that's driving them to do the things they're doing. I kind of think you want that to come out before you hit them with, a question that's going to make them maybe squirm. And actually, that's a really important point. You will find that people are thinking while they're talking. And that's a really important sign, which again, do not try to fill silence because you want people to be in the movie of their mind. They are thinking, and if you get in there too quickly, they will stop and it'll interrupt the flow. And so there's some little tricks that you can do with the kind of interviewing, which is very sparse, but also sometimes it's got a little prompt that might say, I hear you. So describe what it was like. So even just by using the word describe, they can hear that chances are they will go into a more visual storytelling where they're literally telling you what they were seeing, what they were hearing, what they were feeling. That's where the communication really happens because then you can be there with them. If you really want to get into audio storytelling, do a bunch of listening. And by that I mean, ask your friends, what are you listening to? What kind of podcasts are they listening to? So that you can prepare for understanding a little bit about what's going on there. And maybe as a consumer, I also get people to think about what is it that the audience is doing? How are they consuming information at the moment? Because it shifts all the time. And then that actually helps you as you start preparing for what you want to be doing. So I try to help them understand some of those interviewing styles that we talked about too, and really thinking about what works for audio. And there, the most important thing is the characters. The main ingredient of your narrative are the people. Can't really do an audio story without sound. Now, that is a combination of things. That's the people you talk to. That's the natural sound that you might be recording in the field. That's the archival tape that you might be gathering. Might be the music that you commission to help you tell the story. It's those silences that you keep in the show. If I have somebody come up to me and say, look, I want to make a podcast, I usually try and encourage them by right away saying, well, then start recording everything, roll on everything. And that means starting to think like an audio reporter. So the next time you make a phone call, please record it. The next time you have sort of a moment where you're just frustrated about your story and you're thinking and you're trying to, write yourself a little audio note or call your editor on the phone and record it on WhatsApp and get it recorded, because everything needs to be turned into sound before it can actually be used. So I really try and get people to start thinking about what it means to be documenting in audio. And you may never use that stuff, but trust me, if you don't have it, you don't have it. If it's not on tape, it's not going to make the show. And actually, things have really helped us out because everybody has a smartphone. Everybody has an audio recorder in their phone. Everybody's using WhatsApp or Signal, and they all have interface for audio. We are carrying around with us a bunch of assets that are shareable. And so I just try and get people thinking about those things. What else? Thinking about recording with ease so that when you're in those situations with interviews, you're not freaked out by your own gear, that everybody you're talking to is freaked out by your gear. So it's really getting comfortable with the technology, which is actually getting a lot easier, but also getting comfortable with your own voice. Recording your own voice actually helps you think what it's like for the people who are being recorded, because we are often scared of microphones or cameras, right? So it's a process of helping them get into the space of audio as quickly and with as much comfort as I can, so that when they start telling their audio stories, they are excited about actually getting into those spaces, talking to people in that way that we talked at the beginning, the natural conversation. That's all the kind of production side. And then, of course, there's the post-production, which is transcription, editing, sound design. That's the post-production side, which is obviously what a lot of people are already focused on before they even start. They're like, what's that part? And even if it's a shorter form of audio that you're creating, you're still having to go through that process, right? Of pre-production, production, or call it recording, and then post-production, mixing, editing, and distribution. Now it's getting scary. Once you say distribution, then you're into getting out to the audience, which was your point in the beginning, right? You want to get it out to the audience.